The Heat were in Chicago for the first of 3 consecutive meetings and came away with a win that was down the wire. But despite the victory, there's a concern with Miami's rotation. Wes, is Erik Spoelstra giving Kel'el Ware enough minutes?
I don't know, but I do know us complaining about it will definitely change his mind.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome back to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube or your favorite podcast app, thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Join the Cookie Gang, become an everydayer. That means subscribing, tuning in every day, Monday through Friday, and signing up for the Everydayer Club with the link in the show notes. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your purchase. I'm Wes Goldberg, host of Locked On NBA Daily and Real GM Radio. I'm here with David Ramil. Both of us are credentialed Heat media members who cover this team every day. We've got credit cookies in the oven, listener questions to get to, including one about the mystery of Kel'el Ware's minutes. But first, David, recording this on Thursday night after the Heat's 116-113 win over the Bulls in Chicago. It's the first of 3 straight games against the Bulls after the league had to reorganize both of these teams' schedules after Miami's previous game in Chicago had to be postponed because they couldn't figure out how to keep the court dry amid this humid environment, whatever. It's a Bulls problem and ended up being our problem. And now they're going to play the Bulls at home Saturday and Sunday night. So 2 sets of back-to-backs here, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Saturday, Sunday. So great for the Miami Heat, I guess. But look, this is, despite the inconvenience of it all, a good way to start a 3-game series. Even if this game was a little bit closer than you'd like after being up by double digits early in the fourth quarter, David, it is a win, but it was closer than you probably wanted to at the end.
Yeah, it was a second night of a back-to-back. Miami finishes a loss to Orlando at home, travels to Chicago, has to play against the Bulls. That did get a spark late in the game from Ayo Dosunmu, and that did enough. They got the job done. It wasn't a great game. There were some kind of subpar offensive performances from 2 of their best players, and at the same time, they did get some key contributions from a number of players, both on the starting lineup and off the bench. And you take the victory any way you can and hope you can continue to build off of it and figure out a way to stop Dosunmu and keep Buzelis from attacking the basket. And you know what? The Heat also got a little lucky because they did get some bad performances from Niko Vucevic and also from Kobe White. So, it was an interesting game, but you know what? You come away with a win. You can't look at any kind of opportunity like that in the mouth, and you just kind of move on and see if you can figure things out and build off of it on Saturday and Sunday, because it's kind of like a playoff series. So Erik Spoelstra, usually a coach who can make those kind of series adjustments. I hope he approaches the next 2 games the same way, especially for a team that's kind of trying to push their way up to the Eastern Conference standings.
I'm kind of into it. I had the same thought you did. This is sort of like a playoff series in January, right? You've got 3 straight games against the same opponent. By the way, a team that you might probably are
of course in
Sharpie already meet in the play-in tournament. It is kind of cool, and I do give the edge obviously to Spo. I think Billy Donovan's a good coach, but I just think that Spo is better and frankly has a better roster, than the Bulls. Worth mentioning, no Josh Giddey for Chicago in this game. The Heat still without Davion Mitchell, without Tyler Hero for this one as well. Josh Giddey, we've talked about him a lot on this show. He tends to be a Heat killer. Well, Ayo Dosunmu said, "Don't worry, dude, I got it." Between Dosunmu and turnovers, Heat turnovers, that's what kind of did them in the fourth quarter. The Heat had control of this game for most of it. I would say about 80% of the game. They had a pretty heavy hand on what this game was going to be. But then Dosunmu just goes off in the fourth quarter. He looks unstoppable. And he's done this before against Miami. Dosunmu's a good player, man. If I was a contending team, I'd be offering a first-round pick for him.
He's available.
That's why, like, a first-round pick if you're the Bulls, don't you kind of have to at least think about it, right?
It's a low-cost move for a contending team that might be looking at a guard wing player,
I like him,
solid defender. Yeah. Well, apparently Minnesota's interested in Giannis Antetokounmpo, but set your sights a little lower.
Yeah, but in Minnesota, why would you deal with Giannis? Like, don't worry about that. Like, it's too dramatic. You don't want him. He's gonna
He's
take the ball
got a
away from Anthony
superstar of
Edwards.
the
You don't
roster.
need.
Yeah.
Look at Dasunmu. Like, can I interest you in a Dasunmu? It sounds like a car, right? Like, why get the Ferrari when I could get you in a brand new / lightly used 20,000 miles on it? No big deal. Just a nice Dasunmu. Wouldn't you rather be in a Dasunmu? I could see you in a Dasunmu.
2026, Dasunmu, right off the whatever. I don't even know what we're talking about here, but you know what? He's a fine player.
I'll give you my big takeaway from the game. I left this game wanting more from Bam. And 20 points on 7 of 19 shooting, 12 rebounds, 2 assists. He was a +6 in this game. The only starter of who had any who played a lot of minutes. Kaz played just 13 minutes, even though he technically started. But really the only starter who played a lot of minutes who was a positive ±. He won this game because of their bench, right? But Bam was also a big reason why they won this game too. I know that the offensive numbers are a little underwhelming there, and that's why I say I want more from him. I thought he was tremendous on both ends of the court. I thought it was overall a good Bam game. But the fact that 8 of his 19 shot attempts came from 3, that's the part that bugged me. So I'm gonna attempt to apply nuance to the conversation here, David. Understanding full well that that's probably a fruitless effort. But I thought Bam played well. I think he deserves credit cookies. We'll see if you're going to give him any. I don't think the Heat win this game without Bam. And yet, it felt like they should have won this game going away, considering that they couldn't defend Bam worth a lick. Vucevic could not stay in front of Bam, and it was driving me crazy watching him time after time get baited in taking 8 3-point attempts. Made the first 2, couldn't make one after that. While I just thought, hey, every time you take Vucevic off the dribble, you get a wide open layup. Do that more. I wanted more from Bam. To me, I thought this should have been a 30-point game from Bam instead of a 20-point game.
Yeah, I think he also did a pretty solid job defending Vucevic too. Like
Great
Vucevic
job.
missed a lot of shots. So I mean, we've seen that matchup kind of skew more in Bam's favor. Earlier in his career, I would say that Vucevic had the advantage just using his size and his touch around the basket, his rebounding ability, etc. To his advantage over Bam. But I think as time has moved on, Bam has gone better, and yet not able to take advantage of those opportunities. So I think it was more by design. Like, honestly, I think that's more on Spo's choice than anything else. Like, he should have been calling Bam's number a little bit more to be attacking Vucevic, because to put him in those positions where he could attack Vuce, to be around the basket, to be able to use his speed to either get him into foul trouble or to be able to finish at the rim. We didn't see enough of that. He was just camped out beyond the perimeter. And I'd have to look back at those possessions, but I wondered that too as I was watching the game. Like, why isn't he able to attack Vucevic much more regularly? So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's on Spo. I mean, how's it on Erik Spoelstra to say, hey, when you catch it from beyond the 3-point arc, instead of shooting, drive it? That's like, the space is there. Vooch is going to play drop. He's going to give up those threes. That's part of Chicago's defense. Like, that is what they're going to do. It doesn't always look good because they give up a lot of wide open threes, but that's the design of their defense. And I just thought, Bam, it's like, who's stopping you from putting the ball on the floor and attacking Vooch? Nobody.
Maybe he fell in love with the shot after he knocked down those first 2.
I think he fell in love with the Freebird, right? Like the little whatever celebration he does. The Freebird. So yeah, that was my big takeaways. I thought that Bam could have dominated this game and then didn't. And so for the people that are always asking more from Bam, this was a game where I think that stance on Bam, I think has a lot of credence. I think this is the game where you look at it and say, yeah, you probably could have just taken this game over, been overwhelmingly the best player out there, and we're not even talking about what ended up being a clutch time game there at the end. Do you have any other takeaways before we get to credit cookies?
No, I think they did a pretty good job of mixing things up and trying to get some other players involved. So at the same time, maybe it was just a personal thing on Bam's part there, because there were other players that I think were aggressive and made the most of their opportunities. But unfortunately, it didn't feel like Bam felt inclined to do the same, even though I wonder, I don't know, maybe he was more fatigued after playing more of the minutes on Wednesday night against the Magic. It's possible.
Definitely
because
possible.
I mean, we did see a lot of bench production, and those are the guys that typically play less minutes. So maybe fatigue might have been a factor in that starting lineup. Yeah,
32 minutes for Jaime, 22 for Drew. It's a good call out. All All right, the credit cookies are almost ready. We're going to get them out of the oven after this.
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment. You can see it twice against the Chicago Bulls this weekend. Getting tickets, though, well, that part hasn't always been so simple. But that's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs with the fans. Pull up the Game Time app at any point, and you can just pick an upcoming NBA game. Maybe you want to go to catch that celebration against the Hawks to celebrate that 2006 NBA Heat championship. You can get tickets locked in within minutes, and you can see they're all in price right up front. No surprise fees at checkout, and you can see exactly where you're going to be sitting, and you get the best price available. There's so many features about Game Time that make it the best place to get tickets, whether it's for a Heat game or a concert or any upcoming event that you could think of. Everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON. You get $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. We'll be right back.
Thanks again for making Locked On Heat your first listen of the day. The NBA trade deadline is basically here. We want to give you a free month of our new Everydayer Club to help you get ready. If you want inside information and reporting from us, the Everydayer Club gets you access to our subtext community to get text messages with the latest intel. It also gets you access to a group chat on Discord for just Heat fans, plus national chats where you can hang out with fans from across the league. You also get ad-free versions of this show, and if you sign up by the trade deadline on February 5th, you can use the code DEADLINE to get your first month for free. Tap the link in the show notes to learn more. David, it's another Miami Heat win, which means it's time for the tastiest segment of Locked On Heat. It's time for credit cookies. We've got 10 to hand out as always. Where do you want to begin?
I'm going to start off with one of those bench players that really had a very productive game. I think was Miami's best player, at least their go-to player in many spots there. That's Jaime Jaquez Jr. Finished with 19 points, 8 of 13 in 32 minutes, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals. What a great overall game for Jaime. Like, I know he had a couple of defensive miscues there. Wasn't credited with a turnover, so again, a solid game there. But offensively, I think he was just a vital component for Miami. Somebody who really made the most of those opportunities and helped Miami either build a lead or keep their lead against Chicago. So I have to give him 3 credit cookies.
3 credit cookies for Jaime. Yeah, I mean, this was a guy that was sort of the steady Eddie of the game, right? I mean, he kind of took Norm's spot in that way. Super efficient, and was part of that big first quarter and second quarter push where the Heat were able to extend their lead all the way to 14. When I was asking for guys to get to the rim, and I'm just sort of sitting here and being like, Powell, get to the rim more. Bam, get to the rim more. Jaime was like, you don't have to tell me twice. And I mean, he was getting to the basket at will. He had that little push shot going. I think very deserving of those 3 credit cookies.
I've got 2 credit cookies going to another bench player, Drew Smith.
Yeah,
I loved his minutes today. Like, again, he continues to just be such an impactful player. He had a nice and 1 opportunity there. Finished with 11 points on 4 of 8 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3-point range. Just continues to do so many little things. 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. Like, there's moments there where it just feels like Drew Smith is playing at a different speed than everybody else. And maybe it's just an incredible court awareness. And it's not because he's got this elite burst or anything like that. He's just so good at anticipating where rebounds are going to go, and he chases them down relentlessly when you really need a key possession there, when you need to grab that board in order to keep the offense going or get them another opportunity. He was incredible out there. He finished with 2 offensive rebounds again in 23 minutes. So a solid overall game for him. I had to give him 2 credit cookies.
Yeah, I mean, he's really rebounding the ball well lately. I mean, he had the 10 rebound game against Utah the other night, which obviously is a big one. But, you know, he had 3 rebounds against Orlando. He has the 5 tonight. This is a guy who averages 2.5 rebounds per game. So he's starting to tick that up. When we talk about Spo and this coaching staff starting to emphasize rebounding a lot more, and the offensive rebounding part of this in particular, Drew Smith is one of those guys who listened and was like, oh, remember, it was not that long ago. He was out of the rotation. And I think this rebounding emphasis now has left a kind of created an opening for him to earn more minutes. And obviously, Davion Mitchell being hurt is probably the biggest reason why he's getting minutes. But once Davion comes back, the way that Drew's been playing lately, it's gonna be hard to take him out of the lineup again. But it's Drew, it's Davion, it's Kasparis Yakachonis, like all these guys, all these point guards have an argument to make about playing minutes, and frankly, maybe supposed to find time for all three of them.
Do they? Like, I wonder. I know maybe that's a question for another time, and who knows if Yakachonis is even on this roster once Davion comes back. Like, he could be part of a trade or anything like that. Point. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like Drew has to continue to get playing time. I don't know why he was out of the rotation in the first place. I know he had a mini drought there. You weren't expecting much offense, but it's not like he had stopped doing all the little winning plays that Erik Spoelstra loves so much. So it's an interesting question. I would think, as much as I want to lean into Yakachonis continuing to develop, and I've seen some nice things from him as he does continue to develop, at this point, if you're trying to win more games, Drew Smith is probably your better option. I've also got 2 credit cookies going to Norm Powell. I don't think it was a great game. He missed a couple of shots late in the game, but he also hit a couple of free throws. I think you tweeted it out what an up and down close to the game it was for Norm. And at the same time, he did come up big by hitting those 2 free throws there. Did finish 7 of 16 overall, 2 of 4 from 3-point range. So a little low in terms of 3-point volume, and finished with 21 points overall. I think it was a solid game, not necessarily a great one. I don't feel 100% comfortable giving him the 2 credit cookies, but I think the production and the efficiency really helped him stand out a little bit. So that's where we are there.
Yeah, look, it was weird. It was a weird game for him. He, in that third quarter, I'm starting to watch these third quarters a little bit closer because I'm trying to figure out what the issue is. And the Heat, they were okay in the third quarter in this game. But, he comes out in the third quarter and just misses an open layup. And I'm like, oh, here we go, right? The fourth quarter, he turned the ball over like twice on 2 straight possessions that were very just uncharacteristic turnovers. He had 4 for the game, 2 of them in the last like 3 or 4 minutes. I'm just and it was those turnovers that kind of kept the Bulls hanging around. So in one sense, Norm Powell deserves like 0 credit because the only reason this was a close game and the Heat almost blew this one late is kind of because of Norm's turnovers late in this game. But then at the same time, the Bulls climb back into the game, and I have it written down. They climb back into this game after one of those turnovers, and then what happens? Powell drives and gets to the basket for, I think, the biggest made field goal of the final couple of minutes there, and then the 2 free throws that you mentioned. So on one hand, he's like kind of keeping the door open for Chicago by turning the ball over and then closing the door with the shots that he made at the end and the free throws that he made at the end. So I think he's deserving of credit cookies. 2 seems like a lot because of the up and down nature, but I'll see where else you're going with this.
All right. No, well, you know what? I can be convinced, and I think you made a strong argument for another starter. If you could give 1 to Norm Powell, that's fine. And you can give another one to Bam Adebayo because I think he did a lot of the little things well. But I did not originally have him in my list. I don't think he was deserving because of the lack of efficiency and the excessive 3-point shooting, of which he wasn't able to hit this final 6 attempts. So I did not have Bam as getting a credit cookie. If you feel strongly about it, you want to give 1 to Norm or 1 to Bam, I'm fine with it. But that's not where I would have gone.
The Heat lose this game if Bam doesn't play.
100%.
So it gets a credit cookie. That's like, if we think about credit cookies as win shares, right? Like, he needs to get 1. I'm glad you're giving him 1 here. We're going to talk about this in a little bit. Nobody else playing center tonight was effective. Bam's defense was necessary in this game. They do not win this game without Bam's defense.
Up next, I've got 2 credit cookies to Pelle Larsson. I think he was really solid. He had a nice basket late in the game. Also was pretty solid overall offensively. Did a lot of things defensively that I think were very solid. 6 of 7 from the free throw line. Those were crucial points.
Yeah, I loved Larsson's game. I think this is the minimum of credit cookies that he gets. He gets a big 3-pointer late with 5.5 minutes to go after the Bulls start to climb back in this game. That puts the Heat back up 9. Then he attacks the rim on Kobe White on a couple possessions later and draws a foul. Like, that level of aggression that he had in this game. There was another play there where the Heat are kind of passing the ball around the perimeter a little bit, hot potatoing it. Bam kind of hesitates on a 3-pointer, passes it to Larsson. Larson had already touched the ball once on that possession. The ball comes back to him. He does not hesitate. He's just like, you know what? Enough of this, like, your turn, my turn thing. I'm gonna shoot this thing and let it rip. I don't even know if he made it. I didn't care. I just love the fact that he just said enough with this and he shot it. He had that huge steal also with 30 seconds left after Bam misses a shot, then Wiggins misses the tip in. I think it was again Kobe White, I want to say, that got the ball under the rim, and then Larson stole it with 30 seconds left just to buy a little bit more time and take a little bit more time off the clock, and that ended up being huge too. So I thought it was a tremendous game from Larson. I just love the effort, doing stuff, classic Pelle Larson stuff.
Well, speaking of one other player who I think did stuff, Kel'el Ware gets the last credit cookie. Finished in his 12 minutes, very limited playing time. Finished with 12 points on 4 of 6 shooting, including 3 of 4 from three-point range. Also finished with 4 rebounds and 2 assists and 2 blocks. I think those were really solid minutes for Kel'el, and yet the surprising 12 minutes of playing time. And I'm sure that's something we'll talk about a little bit later. But he does get one credit cookie despite the bad performance. I'm sorry, despite the limited performance there, because he just wasn't given more of an opportunity.
Yeah, I think you're wrong here. I don't think he deserves a credit cookie. And I actually thought he deserved the 12 minutes, and I think that this credit cookie should go to Bam. I think Bam should get 2, and Ware should get 0. But
wow,
that's what we're going to talk about in the next segment.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff. The final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's a perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season's over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. We'll be right back.
Thanks again for making Locked On Heat your first listen. Let's go to the text line. You can get text from us and submit questions for the post-game shows with the link in the show notes, or text 786-998-7029. This question comes from Malachi, who writes in, I don't understand the whole Kel'el Ware dilemma. Why won't Spo play him? Why is Jovic playing in the fourth quarter over him? Jonah also writes in, glad we won, but why did Spo run Nico at the 5 until the very last second? Could Spo's refusal to play Kel'el Ware hurt his value? We'll put the question about Kel'el Ware's value over here for a second, and we'll get to it, because I do think that's interesting. But you gave Kel'el Ware a credit cookie. I said that I don't think he's deserving of a credit cookie, and I thought that cookie should have went to Bam instead. To me, to give Bam one cookie and Kel'el Ware one cookie to both get the same amount of cookies, to me, is absurd. Like, Bam was so much better than Ware in this game, and it wasn't even close. I thought Ware was bad in this game. I thought he was a weak link on the bench. I understand the 12 points on 6 shots. I thought his first stint was good. I thought his second half was bad. It was a little empty calories for me, and I'll tell you. I'll tell you exactly the series that I'm thinking about. Is the second half. He was getting the minutes. He comes in, gets a dunk right away, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. That's classic Kel'el Ware. He probably leads the league in dunks in the first 30 seconds of being in the game. Like it's just a thing he does.
Sure.
So he gets that. The very next play gets bulldozed by Nikola Vucevic. Vucevic, who couldn't do diddly squat against Bam the entire game, suddenly looked like he was 5 years younger going up against Kel'el Ware. Goes right through him. Kel'el Ware, zero interference defensively whatsoever. Just gives up those 2 points that he just got on the other end. Next possession, Kel'el Ware hits a three-pointer. Yay, Kel'el Ware can shoot threes. This is all fun. All right, awesome. Very next play, bulldozed again by Nikola Vucevic. He was a +1 in those minutes, but it should have been more, right? Like, to just and to me, the biggest thing there was the threat of allowing Vucevic to get hot, who had been struggling so much against Bam. If Vucevic gets going, which he did get going there a little bit in the third quarter, that to me was a threat to the Heat and the lead that they had built up to that point. I don't know. I saw those minutes. I thought Kel'el was just a non-factor defensively. In fact, I thought he was a negative, and he allowed Vucevic to kind of get back into the game and get into a rhythm. And I don't blame Spo for saying, I'm not risking it, man, and benching him down the stretch, and Bam playing, almost 34 minutes on the second night of a back-to-back.
Yeah, I get it. I think that's more about Vucevic figuring out how to attack the rookie and taking advantage of things because he's veteran savvy and understanding what he's capable of. He can't use his skill set the same way against Bam Adebayo because of Bam's strength and quickness. Versus where it's a lot more effective because he doesn't possess the strength at this point in his career. He might eventually, but right now it's not as easy for him. And so for Vooch, he can attack a little bit more freely, and I think that's where it came down to because he did look passive for most of the game, and then he was just recognizing, well, I can't go at Bam. And then once Ware starts in the game, then that's where he felt a little bit more.
Yeah, and look, I'm sure people will disagree with me, and they're free to do that. And look, I'm not gonna fight you on the credit cookie thing. Like, if you want to give Kel'el a credit cookie, that's fine. I do think that this other question from Jonah about not playing Ware and
Taking
whether
him
or
out
not
of the
that's
game was
good
such
or his value, I do think it's a fair concern, right? Like, broadly speaking, if your rookie can't get minutes, you've seen what that's done to a guy like Jonathan Kuminga in Golden State. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's nothing, right? But at the same time, I think we know enough about Kel'el Ware. It's not like he's not playing at all. He's not out of the rotation. He's just playing not as many minutes behind a multi-time All-Star. And I do think people around the league kind of know who Kel'el Ware is. I think he's got fans around the league. I think that there's other front offices, despite what Ware has shown in Miami, that still are a little that question the motor and all this stuff that was a question during the draft process, right? Like, all these teams did their own work on Kel'el Ware to form their own opinions on Kel'el Ware. So I'm not really worried about him hurting his value by not playing here. More accurately, Spo hurting his value by not playing him more, especially in the context of a Giannis trade. Like, whatever Ware does over these next few days is not going to fundamentally change the result of a Giannis trade. So I'm not really worried about that at this stage. Now, if we get down the road and the Giannis thing doesn't work out or whatever, maybe we can revisit this. But right now, I'm not very worried about it. Cody writes in, piggybacking David's viewpoint from yesterday's episode, do you view Jaime as one of the very few players that the Heat should desperately try to keep in a Giannis trade? Maybe divert attention to Nikola Jovic from Milwaukee. Jaime proves time and time again his importance to the franchise. I hope I wasn't too cavalier about this, David, on yesterday's episode. Obviously, if you could hold on to Jaime, you would. But my point is, if you weren't, you can't have it all, right? You can't complain about the Heat never going all in for a star and then saying, we got to go all in for Giannis except for this one thing. Either you're all in or you're not. There's all in is there's only one definition. All of it is in. And Jaime is certainly part of all of it.
Look, I mean, to harken back to our discussion, Hero, Ware, Jaquez and Jaquez, along with Terry Rozier and along with all those draft picks, it just kind of sets you back. And in terms of, yeah, you've got the superstar, but you might have to make other trades too to get more draft capital as well. It just, where is the bench scoring going to come from? Where is the other production going to? I mean, Miami is too late in the game here. Acquiring Giannis at this point, giving up all that, feels like a risky proposition. I think it limits their chances in the playoffs, and I don't know how their chances will be moving forward. It might be just, a similar situation or recreating what he's dealing with in Milwaukee right now, where they just don't have enough talent surrounding him to be able to be in a position to win. And I don't know that Pat Riley is going to be able to surround him by having traded away all this draft capital and by giving up some of these young players.
I think it's fair. And if you want to argue that today's NBA, you need depth, you need young players, you need depth pieces on rookie scale contracts, like, I get it. I think it's a valid argument. If you want to argue that they shouldn't trade any of these pieces for Giannis, I could follow you down that road. But I just, like I said, if it's you'd prefer not to give all of it away to get Giannis, but if you've basically got the deal done, do you really walk away from it because they're asking for Jaime, who's going to be due an extension this summer? I just don't know if you're the Heat front office that you can afford to do it, because if you do that, then you might as well just trade the veterans on this team and keep Jaime and Ware and Jaquez and all these guys and say, okay, we're going to build around these guys instead of Giannis and Bam. And again, there's a basketball argument to be made that might be the right path to take. But I'm saying it's either you're in on Giannis or you're not. Now, that said, don't offer this stuff if they don't ask. And don't offer this and don't trade all of it away if you don't have to. Don't negotiate against yourself, right? So
100%.
Would I be shocked if the Heat landed Giannis and managed to keep one of these young pieces? No, I don't think I would. Like anything can happen. We have the one thing we do know right now is that this Giannis trade landscape is evolving by the minute. And to pretend that exactly what's going to happen is ridiculous. So we'll see what happens here. But look, it would be hard to get rid of Jaime, but you gotta give stuff up to get stuff, and the stuff that you could potentially get back here is a top 3 player in the NBA. Like, it's gonna cost you. It's gonna hurt, right? It's gonna hurt if you get him. It's gonna hurt in some places. That's gonna do it for us today. Thanks for tuning in to Locked On Heat. We'll be back here not tomorrow, next week with our recap of everything that happened with the Chicago Bulls playoff-ish series. Plus, I'm sure more updates on the Giannis situation. Make sure you subscribe, follow Locked On Heat so you get all of the latest episodes. We'll talk to you soon.